Frank was the kind of man who researched everything. 69 years old, retired engineer, the kind of person who read instruction manuals cover to cover before assembling anything, who compared product reviews for 45 minutes before buying a garden hose, who approached every decision in his life, large or small, with the same systematic thoroughness that had made him excellent at his profession for 35 years. So when Frank decided at 67 years old that he wanted to do something meaningful for his health, he did not simply pick up whatever was on the shelf at the drugstore. He spent 3 weeks researching. He watched videos, he read articles, he cross-referenced studies, he made a spreadsheet, an actual spreadsheet comparing 14 different options across 12 different health benefit categories. And at the end of 3 weeks of careful methodical research, Frank settled on one addition to his daily routine that every source he found agreed was one of the most powerful health choices a man his age could make. Every morning without exception, Frank added 1 heaped teaspoon of a popular health powder to his first cup of coffee. He stirred it carefully. He drank it at the same time every morning. He tracked how he felt in a small notebook he kept on the kitchen counter next to the coffee maker. For the first several months he felt good. He told me at his appointments that he was sleeping better, that his energy felt more consistent, that he was glad he had finally found something that seemed to be working. At his routine lab work, 18 months after he started, I looked at his kidney function panel and felt my stomach drop. His eGFR, the measure of how efficiently his kidneys were actually filtering his blood, had fallen by 22 points from his baseline. In 18 months, a decline that would normally take 5 to 7 years in a man of his age and health profile had been compressed into a year and a half. His creatinine was elevated. His protein spillage into urine had increased significantly. His kidneys were in measurable, documented, serious distress. I called Frank personally that afternoon. I asked him to come in the following morning, and when he sat down across from me and I explained what his labs were showing, this careful, methodical, research-oriented man, who had spent 3 weeks building a spreadsheet before making this decision, went completely still. He said, "But every single source I found said it was good for you. Every single one." I told him what I am about to tell you. What Frank had found in his research was accurate. For certain people, at certain doses, under certain conditions, what his research had not found, because it was not in the videos he watched or the articles he read, was what this particular powder does, specifically and seriously, to the aging kidney, under the conditions that describe the majority of adults over 65 in this country. My name is Dr. James Harlow. I have spent 10 years in internal medicine with a focused specialization in cardiovascular and metabolic health in adults over 50. In that decade, I have watched the morning health powder trend grow into one of the most widespread daily habits among older adults who are serious about their health. Protein powders, collagen powders, greens powders, turmeric powders, creatine powders, each one with its own devoted following, each one with its own library of enthusiastic content, each one with a half of the story that almost never gets told to the people who need it most. Today I am going to tell you Frank's complete story. I am going to explain exactly what certain morning powders do inside the aging kidney that the product pages and wellness videos never mention, and I am going to give you the information you need to make a genuinely safe and informed decision about what you add to your coffee every morning. Please stay with me through every minute of this video, because I am going to cover several different types of powders and the specific risks each one carries for adults over 60. And please share this before you finish watching, because right now someone you love is stirring something into their morning coffee, believing they are doing one of the best things possible for their aging body. They deserve to know what Frank's labs showed me. Let us begin. Why morning powders became the most trusted health habit for older adults. Before I tell you exactly what was in Frank's coffee and exactly what it was doing to his kidneys, I want to establish something clearly and honestly. The most popular morning health powders are not fraudulent products. They are not invented from nothing. The enthusiasm surrounding them is not baseless. Each of the major categories of health powders consumed by older adults contains compounds with genuine documented benefits that real peer-reviewed research supports. Protein powders support muscle protein synthesis, which is genuinely critical for preventing the age-related muscle loss called sarcopenia that affects most adults over 65. Collagen powders contain peptides that research has linked to joint and skin health benefits. Greens powders deliver concentrated plant compounds with genuine antioxidant properties. Turmeric and curcumin powders have real and well-documented anti-inflammatory properties. Creatine has emerging research supporting cognitive and muscle function in older adults. These are real benefits. I am not standing here dismissing them. What I am standing here telling you is that every single one of these powder categories also carries specific, documented, serious risks for adults over 60, with declining kidney function, risks that are almost completely absent from the content space that promotes them, risks that Frank's 3-week spreadsheet research never once surfaced for him, risks that I am going to explain to you completely and honestly right now. The powder Frank was adding to his coffee every morning was a popular collagen protein blend, marketed specifically toward older adults, labeled as supporting joint health, skin elasticity, gut health, and healthy aging, sold in every major pharmacy and health food store in the country, reviewed enthusiastically by thousands of older adults on every major retail platform. And here is what it was doing to Frank's kidneys every single morning. The first hidden danger. What high-dose daily protein does to aging kidneys. Frank quotes, powder contained a significant protein load per serving, approximately 15 to 20 grams of protein per heaped teaspoon serving. This is by design. Protein is the active ingredient these products are built around. And as I have already acknowledged, adequate protein intake is genuinely important for older adults trying to preserve muscle mass. But here is the critical physiological reality that the product label never explains. Processing protein is work for your kidneys, significant work. When protein is metabolized, it produces nitrogen-containing waste compounds, primarily urea and creatinine, that must be filtered from the blood and excreted in urine. This filtration is performed by structures inside the kidney called glomeruli, and the demand placed on these structures by protein metabolism is called glomerular filtration load. In young adults with fully functioning kidneys, a high daily protein load is managed efficiently. The glomeruli handle the increased filtration demand without lasting structural stress. But Frank's kidneys at 69 years old were not young adult kidneys. As I explained earlier, kidney filtration efficiency declines by 30 to 40% between early adulthood and the late 60s. This is completely normal, it is expected, and it means that the same protein load that a 35-year-old kidney handles without consequence places a significantly amplified filtration demand on a 69-year-old kidney. When this amplified filtration demand is applied every single day, without exception, through a daily morning protein powder, the glomeruli are under continuous elevated stress. Over months and years, this chronic stress causes a specific type of kidney damage called glomerular hyperfiltration injury. The glomeruli, pushed to work harder than their aging architecture is designed to sustain, begin to show structural damage. Filtration capacity declines. Protein begins spilling into the urine, which is both a marker and an amplifier of kidney damage, and the decline accelerates. A landmark study published in the American Journal of Kidney Diseases followed adults over 65 with varying levels of daily protein intake over 3 years. The findings were unambiguous and striking. Adults with the highest daily protein consumption showed kidney function decline rates significantly faster than those with moderate protein intake, and the effect was most pronounced in adults who already had any degree of kidney function reduction at baseline, which, as I have emphasized, describes the majority of adults over 65. Frank had no diagnosed kidney disease before he began his morning powder. He had the completely normal age-related kidney function reduction of a 69-year-old man, and 18 months of daily high-dose protein delivery to those already aging kidneys had produced a decline that stunned both of us when we saw it in his labs. He had been giving his kidneys something he was told would support his healthy aging. His kidneys had experienced it as 18 months of daily overwork. They were never designed to sustain. The second hidden danger. What collagen powder specifically does differently from regular protein. Frank quotes powder was not a standard whey or plant protein. It was a collagen blend, and I want to explain why collagen protein specifically carries an additional layer of kidney risk beyond what I have just described about protein load in general. Collagen is composed of specific amino acids. Hydroxyproline is one of the most abundant amino acids in collagen protein, and it is found in very few other dietary proteins. When hydroxyproline is metabolized in the body, it is converted through a specific metabolic pathway that produces oxalate as a byproduct. Oxalate, the same compound I have discussed in previous videos in the context of raw spinach and concentrated lemon juice, the compound that binds to calcium inside kidney tissue to form calcium oxalate crystals that deposit in kidney tubules, cause inflammation, cause scarring, and accelerate kidney function decline. When Frank consumed his daily collagen powder, his body was metabolizing significant amounts of hydroxyproline every single morning and producing a meaningful oxalate load as a direct metabolic byproduct. This oxalate load was then being presented to kidneys that were already under elevated filtration stress from the protein load itself. Two separate mechanisms of kidney damage. Every single morning, from 1 scoop of powder in 1 cup of coffee. A case series published in the journal Kidney International documented multiple adults over 60 who developed significant oxalate nephropathy, which is kidney damage from oxalate crystal accumulation. directly linked to daily collagen supplement consumption. The researchers specifically highlighted that the hydroxyproline to oxalate conversion pathway made collagen supplements a uniquely concerning source of kidney oxalate stress compared to other protein types. Frank, quote, "Kidney biopsy, which I ordered after his lab results, showed early oxalate crystal deposits in his kidney tubules. His morning coffee ritual had been delivering a daily oxalate-generating protein load to aging kidneys for a year and a half. The damage was real, it was visible under a microscope, and it had been completely invisible to Frank from the outside until his lab numbers told the story." The third hidden danger. What coffee itself does when combined with these powders. There is a third layer to Frank's situation that I want to address, because it is almost never discussed, and it significantly amplifies the risks I have already described. Frank added his powder to coffee. Not water, not a smoothie. Coffee. Caffeine is a mild diuretic. It increases urine production and promotes fluid loss. In moderate amounts for healthy adults, this effect is minor and well tolerated. But when you combine daily caffeine consumption with a high-protein powder that is already increasing the filtration demand on aging kidneys, the diuretic effect of caffeine creates a condition of mild but consistent relative dehydration in the renal environment. Here is why this matters specifically. Oxalate crystals form most readily in concentrated, low-volume urine. When caffeine is promoting fluid loss at the same time that collagen powder metabolism is generating oxalate, the concentration of oxalate in the urine increases. More concentrated oxalate means faster and more extensive crystal formation in kidney tissue. Frank was not drinking extra water to compensate for his morning coffee diuresis. He was drinking 1 cup of coffee with his powder and then going about his morning. His kidneys were processing an elevated oxalate and protein load in a relatively dehydrated state every single day. Additionally, caffeine raises blood pressure transiently. In young adults with flexible arteries, this transient rise is inconsequential. In older adults with stiffer, less elastic arteries and already reduced kidney blood flow, the daily blood pressure spike from morning caffeine, combined with the already elevated filtration demand from protein metabolism, creates a compounding stress on the renal microvasculature, the tiny blood vessels that supply kidney tissue with oxygen and nutrients. The coffee was not the villain in Frank's story, but it was an amplifier of every other risk factor already present in his morning routine. The powder and the coffee together created a physiological environment that was measurably more damaging to his kidneys than either would have been alone. This is not only about collagen powder. I want to expand this conversation because Frank's story is the most dramatic example I have seen personally, but the kidney risks of morning health powders for older adults extend well beyond collagen, specifically. Let me walk you through the major powder categories and the specific risks each one carries for adults over 60, because you deserve the complete picture for whatever is currently sitting next to your coffee maker. Whey protein powder. The most widely consumed protein supplement in the world, whey is a high biological value complete protein, which means it is processed rapidly and efficiently in the body. That rapid processing produces a fast and significant nitrogen waste load that aging kidneys must filter quickly. Studies specifically examining whey protein consumption in adults over 65 with age-related kidney function decline have shown accelerated eGFR reduction with daily high-dose consumption. If you use whey protein powder, the dose matters enormously. More is not better for aging kidneys. Less is safer. Plant-based protein powders, generally considered gentler on the kidneys than animal proteins because of their amino acid profiles and lower sulfur content. However, many commercially available plant protein blends add significant sodium to improve taste. For older adults managing blood pressure and kidney health, the sodium content of plant protein powders deserves careful attention that the marketing never directs you toward. Greens powders. These concentrated vegetable powders are marketed as a convenient way to increase vegetable intake, and the antioxidant benefits they advertise are not fabricated. However, many popular greens powders contain high concentrations of spinach, kale, beet, and other high oxalate vegetables in their most concentrated dried form. The oxalate content per serving of some greens powders is significantly higher than eating the equivalent fresh vegetables because of the concentration process. For older adults with any degree of kidney function decline, daily greens powder consumption can deliver an oxalate load that rivals or exceeds what I described in Frank's collagen powder case. Turmeric and curcumin powders, among the most enthusiastically promoted anti-inflammatory supplements for older adults, and curcumin does have genuine anti-inflammatory properties that research supports. However, turmeric is extremely high in oxalates. 1 teaspoon of turmeric powder contains oxalate levels that would be concerning for anyone with reduced kidney function. Daily turmeric powder added to coffee or smoothies is a meaningful and frequently overlooked source of kidney oxalate stress in older adults. I have seen this in my practice multiple times. Patients taking turmeric daily for joint inflammation, who developed kidney oxalate accumulation that nobody connected to their turmeric until we specifically looked for it. Creatine powder. Growing in popularity among older adults following emerging research on its cognitive and muscle benefits. Creatine metabolism directly produces creatinine as a waste product. Creatinine is the primary marker we use in blood tests to assess kidney function. Daily creatine supplementation artificially elevates creatinine levels in the blood, which can obscure genuine kidney function decline on standard lab panels. In other words, creatine powder can hide kidney damage behind falsely elevated creatinine readings that your doctor might attribute to the supplement rather than to actual kidney deterioration. This masking effect is particularly dangerous in older adults, where kidney monitoring is critical. Every single one of these popular powder categories carries specific and serious risks for adults over 60 that the marketing ecosystem surrounding them almost never discloses. What happened to Frank? I want to finish his story completely because Frank deserves to have it told, and because I think the outcome matters for everyone watching. When I explained the full picture to Frank at our follow-up appointment, he did something that I found genuinely moving. He went home and he rebuilt his spreadsheet, the same careful, systematic spreadsheet he had built before starting the powder, but this time he included the risk columns that his original research had never surfaced: the kidney columns, the oxalate columns, the aging physiology columns. He came back to my office 2 weeks later and showed it to me. 14 sources, 12 categories, this time including everything I had explained to him. He pointed to the column he had labeled net benefit over 65 with declining kidney function and said quietly, "It looks completely different from this side." We stopped the collagen powder immediately. We implemented aggressive hydration protocols. We added specific dietary modifications to reduce his overall oxalate burden. We scheduled kidney function monitoring every 6 weeks. I referred him to nephrology for specialist oversight of his recovery plan. Over the following 8 months, Frank's kidney function stabilized. His eGFR stopped declining, his protein spillage into urine reduced significantly, his creatinine trended back toward a safer range. He did not fully recover the function he had lost in those 18 months. Some of that decline was permanent, but we stopped the progression. We protected what remained. At his 1-year follow-up, Frank sat across from me and said something I want you to hear. He said, "I spent 3 weeks researching before I started. I wish one of those sources had shown me what you showed me. I would have made a completely different decision." You are seeing what Frank wished he had seen before he started. What you need to do right now first. If you are over 60 and you add any powder to your morning coffee or smoothie daily, please schedule a conversation with your doctor and request a complete kidney function panel. Ask specifically for eGFR, creatinine, BUN and a urine protein test. These numbers will tell you whether your kidneys are handling the additional metabolic load efficiently or whether damage has already quietly begun. Second, tell your doctor specifically and completely what powder you take, what dose, how frequently, and what you mix it with. Your doctor cannot assess an interaction or a risk they do not know exists. Most older adults do not disclose supplement use to their physicians because they do not think of powders as medical products. They are physiologically active substances that your aging kidneys must process every single day. Your doctor needs to know. Third, if you take a collagen powder specifically, ask your doctor about oxalate monitoring given the hydroxyproline to oxalate conversion pathway. This is a specific conversation most physicians will not initiate unless you raise it. Fourth, if you use creatine powder, discuss with your doctor how to accurately interpret your creatine lab values in the context of supplementation so that genuine kidney function changes are not masked behind supplement-related creatine elevation. Fifth, regardless of which powder you use, always consume it with a full large glass of water in addition to your coffee. Never rely on coffee alone as your hydration vehicle for a morning powder dose. The combination of caffeine diuresis and concentrated powder metabolite processing in a relatively dehydrated renal environment is one of the most preventable amplifiers of kidney stress in this entire picture. And sixth, consider carefully whether the specific benefits you are seeking from a daily powder can be achieved through whole food sources that deliver the same nutrients with significantly lower kidney stress. Protein from eggs, fish, and legumes, collagen support from vitamin C-rich foods and bone broth in modest amounts, anti-inflammatory benefits from fresh turmeric in cooking rather than concentrated daily powder doses, greens nutrition from freshly cooked vegetables rather than concentrated dried powder blends. The benefits are real. The question worth asking is whether there are ways to access them that do not require your 69-year-old kidneys to process a concentrated daily metabolic load. They were never designed to handle indefinitely. The bigger lesson Frank taught me in 10 years of practicing medicine, I have learned something about the patients who get hurt most by the wellness industry. It is not the patients who ignore their health, those patients carry their own risks, but the wellness industry does not primarily reach them. The patients who get hurt most by incomplete wellness information are the Franks of the world, the careful ones, the researching ones, the spreadsheet building ones, the ones who care so much about their health that they spend 3 weeks studying before making a decision. These are the patients the wellness industry reaches most effectively, because these are the patients who are actively looking for guidance and who trust that the guidance they find has been complete and honest with them. When that trust is violated by the omission of critical risk information, it is not a minor failure. It is a betrayal of the people who deserve the complete picture most. Frank built a spreadsheet. He did everything right by the information available to him. What was available to him was incomplete, and his kidneys paid for that incompleteness for 18 months before we caught it.
You now have the complete spreadsheet, both sides, all the columns,
including the ones that never make it into the wellness videos. Use it. Share it, please.